We are on page pay and the second section, the bottom section. We started already.
Sure. You need a book? There you go. Sure.
So we discussed quite extensively, relatively speaking, the principle of the different sections of the person's body, where each section really represents a whole world. And the discussion was for the purpose of drawing from that and understanding, applying it to worlds, Briya, Yitzira, Asiya. We'll start from top down, even though the REBBE was bottom up. The head is the most significant part of the person, and it has the nefesh quality in a much greater measure than all the other parts of the body. Within the head, there is the brain, and the brain represents many qualities, many koichos. In addition to the fact that in the head there is other koichos that are directly stationed in the head, like sight and hearing and so forth. It's a whole world, and in the head, this is not just a question of different koichos, different capabilities. There's a different reality going through this entity. The fact that the head has all of these koichos, these are not koichos that are put there as strangers to the area where they are. They relate to the area where they are very well, and the area where they are accepts them and incorporates them into its reality. This is the pshat that there is the oyer hanefesh, that as a result of this superior amount, hard to find the right word, degree of the oyer hanefesh, the effect of the oyer hanefesh, this is why all the koiches sprout out and surface in the head, because the oyer hanefesh itself demands that these koiches should be there, because it identifies with them. Then there is the body that has all kinds of different koiches, such as the hands, the limbs and the hands have also very fine quality of koiches. And then there is the heart, which is kind of competing with the brain in terms of presenting the divine truth in the person. As a matter of fact, as we learned, there's a certain quality, certain mode of recognizing the Elokus that's exclusively in the heart. But the brain is not even capable of relating to it. It's called the Ru'usa de Liba. Nonetheless, the body is a lower is a lower level, and there is less Oyer HaNefesh in the body than there is in the brain, in the head. There is more body, more kelli, more physicality, more container than in the head. In the head, it's almost exclusively Oyer. Then going down another step, which is the third level, which is the feet. The feet are very much focused on the physical capability, on the koiches. Not to be missed that the feet also has a nefesh quality. The feet have a very major effect on the person in general, even on the head, in the sense that the feet lift the head up and carry the head to wherever it wants to go in the world. The feet give the head the sense of universal presence. Wherever I want to be, I can be there. In a real, fundamental, physical sense. So the feet serve a very major, important service to the person. Nonetheless, the feet are the lowest of the three levels, and the Oyer HaNefesh in the feet, Oyer HaNefesh, the impact of Nefesh in the feet is much less than in the other two. Pardon me. Such as we could see that the hands act in a physical sense, and the feet act physically. But that which the hands are able to do, the feet are not able to do. Even though it's a physical act, like to write, to draw, to play an instrument, these are things which are physical actions. They are not exclusively physical action. There is a nefesh quality to it. And the feet are not privy to it. So the feet are what's called the lowest level. This is the level where the nefesh impact, is at the minimum. And it's completely focused on its physical activity, physical accomplishment. Thus, these three are now going to be translated as a mashal for the three worlds of Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. The whole discussion was for the purpose of bringing us to understand how this is in the world also. The world, there are three worlds, as we all know, Bria, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. And these worlds differ principally in the cognizance of the Oyer Eleki that prevails in these worlds. And now we're going to start going inside. U-kmo-ken hu hadugma l'maylo. Similarly, this is reflected l'maylo above begimel oimas biyah. In the three worlds, brio, yitzira, asiya. The Ba'elam Habriya, that in the world of Bria, Meir Adayin, Meir shines, Adayin still, Gilui Ha'oir, the revelation of the Oir. Let me explain these words for a moment. The word Adayin means still. Why does it mean still? Because it's coming from Olam HaAtzilus. Olam HaAtzilus is entirely Oyer Eleki. which is not discussing now, so we're not going to go into it. But Olam HaAtzilus, this is what's called Olam HaEleki, the divine world. Bria is already a creation. Creation means it's a new presence that doesn't exist in the source. It's created intentionally. In general, to give us a little bit of, as we go on, of a handle, how do you relate to this? We know that in a person there are koiches pnimim, there is seichel amimis. Seichel, even though we are completely confused, and unfortunately with the secular view of seichel, seichel is a nefesh quality. And the proof of it is, you cannot train a dog and give him seichel. There's no way. Seichel comes with the nefesh. It's not something that is acquired by training or by experience. This is called oir eliki, oir. Now, seichel in the person, relative to thought, is a completely different world. Thought is when a person applies his seichel into an external environment. Whereas seichel, this is nefesh itself. So thought is where world begins. In other words, he creates something outside of the essence. Seichel, this is the essential shine of the nefesh. Seichel, and midas, in the nimshul, this is like u-kmo-ken. Machshava, this is where you go into created world. What is a created world? Just like thought. Thought is something which is created. Because there is something that is shown to you, so start thinking about it. It's not something that comes from the nefesh. Thus, when we say that Meir Adayin, it still shines, this would be in our terms that a thought, for example, is really an action, an external action, but thought senses the seichel directly. So thought does not retranslate the seichel in thought form. It goes directly to the seichel. In contrast to speech, in order to speak, you have to formulate your words and sentences. You don't speak directly the way it is in your seichel. So this is the meaning that the Olam HaBriya Moyer Adayin still shines. The revelation and the message of the oir. Hili ha'oir in our mashal would mean like this. We all recognize, as we said before, that a human being is a different He's a unique presence in the world, and it's not comparable. There's no other presence that's comparable. A dog, a cat, an elephant, whatever it is, it's a monkey. It's a different category totally.
Even King Kong?
Even King Kong. It is a completely different category. Go on. Now, this quality, although the person is able to do and does things which are similar to what Lahabdil Daniel does. However, the person does it from a total different perspective and a different impact than the other element. There's an oyer element. There's supreme nefesh quality. This is the meaning that the oyer mabriya meir adayin gilui ha'oyer. The oyer, even though in oyer mabriya there are also spheres and oyer and kelim and so forth, like I would say in koiches, but there's gilui ha'oyer. There is the impact. There's a message from the oil of the nefesh. You should know. You know that because there's a nefesh, not because you see it in front of you. So the Rebbe explains further. That's what adayin. Adayin means as yet, still. Even though it went into a different category, it's a creation. It's not a direct flow from the Oyer Eliki. Nonetheless, there is also the Oyer Eliki in there. Adayin, it still permeates it. Excuse me. Dili yois, to me?
No, yes, that's the world of Bria.
Yeah, the yois. And then explains, Dili yois, for being that, Sho'olam habriyo, that the world of Brio, who hayesh horishoin, is the very first yesh, very first entity that there is a means of referring to a yesh as a presence. Hayesh horishoin, the first presence. For those who are with me, and if you're sensitive to this, what is the meaning of the word yesh and yesh? What's meant yesh? The Rebbe is also present. Yesh means something that its existence, its presence, can be identified as distinct from its purpose and function. Like a person speaks, there is a sound of the words, then there is a content in the words. And there is the impact and the inspiration. These are different levels. The words are yesh. You put inspiration into words. That's a phenomenal accomplishment. But it's a yesh. Olam Hatzilus is not a yesh. It's a direct flow from the essence of the key. Just as we said, the seichel of the person and the midas of the person. This is not a yesh. It's not a creative thing. Despite all the idiots, it's a real revelation of the nefesh. But when it comes into machshava, for example, there's a yesh. It's a presence. In this presence, there is oil. This is what Rabbi says. That in the Olam Abriya, still shines through the Oyer Eliki, being that, because of the fact that Olam Habriya Hu HaYesh Orishi is the very first Yesh. Yesh means that there is a presence, this in addition or distinct from its message, from its Oyer. That's a creation. The very first Shenivra Meho Ayin Holiki, that was created from the Ayin Holiki, from the divine Ayin. Ayin means non-presence. If it's not present, what are you talking about? The answer is, it's non-present. Its presence is not distinct from its truth. Its presence consists of its truth. So Bria is the very first Yesh that was created, that was called created. Creation means you create something me'ayin, something out of from out of the blue. There's no precedent, no beginning for it prior to it being created. Now, when a person speaks, for example, the sound of the words are actually created by his mouth. And by the movement of air, however that actually works, but it's being created at the moment when it sounded. And this created by Ayin Oliki, being that this is the first Yesh that was created from Ayin Oliki, therefore Meir Shom Adaya in Gili Hoyer. Okay, I'd like to see if we can relate to this explanation. Therefore, Meir Shom shines there because it's the very first Yesh. Therefore, there shines Gilui Ha'ayin, the Gilui, the revelation and the cognizance of the Ayin. Since that this is the very first Yesh, when you look at it and say, what brought this over here? What preceded this that made it be? And there's nothing there. So it comes from Ayin. Ayin, how can I create a Yesh? Ayin and Yesh are different, very categorically different. So you come to the explanation that you recognize, you look into the Yesh, you see, in the Yesh there's an element of Ayin, which is not exclusively Yesh. This is what's called a living Yesh. A Yesh that tends towards Ayin, that is bottled to the Ayin. This is the Ayin, the Oyer Eliki still shines there. This is the very first Yesh that was created from the Ayin Eliki. This Yesh is not exclusively Yesh. It's a little bit Ayin. ולכן and therefore Habriya Nikra Choshech. The Briya is called Choshech.
It's called what?
Choshech.
Choshech.
Ukmeisha Kosev, as it says, Yoitzer Oir Umoire Choshech. You say this in davening every day. Okay. Yoitzer Oir Umoire Choshech. Yoitzer is Olam HaYitzira, and Boyer is Olam HaBriya. Now, the way we list the words, Briya is above Yitzira. Biro Yitzira Asir. And yet we say Yoitzer Oir, Yoitzer Yitzira is Oir. And Briya is Choshech. Why is Briya Choshech? It's called Choshech V'hainu. And the point in this is, due to the fact Shebebriya Meir Gilu Yoir, because in Briya shines Gilu Yoir, the impact of the Oir.
Where are we there?
The fourth line from the second.
Fourth line from the bottom?
From the top of the second section.
Oh.
Meir Abayin Gilu Yoir. Arei Zeh B'Bchinas Choshech V'Helem. Thus, this is in the category, or in the impact of Choshech V'Helem, darkness and concealment, Legabe Lamata, relative to that which is below. So this is called Choshech, not Choshech in relative to itself, but Choshech relative to the next stage, the next world.
Totally confused.
What?
Now I'm totally confused.
What word of the line?
What?
What word of the line?
The fourth line from the beginning of the second section.
Oh. You count one,
Gilui, yeah.
two.
Gilui Oir, as we speak many times, Oir is not a tangible entity. Oir is the impact of the presence of the truth, of the Etzer. The best allusion to Oir that we have, that we used, is when a person let's say you're alone in a room. Somebody else comes in. He's not talking to you. He's not disturbing you. There's plenty of room for you to do anything you want. Yet you are conscious of his presence. What are you conscious of? He's not talking to you. Not even looking at you. Let you be. There's the impact of the reality of this human being. This is called oil. There's no way to identify it or define it. Which means this is called choshech. It's there, and its impact is very, very significant, very profound. And yet, there's nothing to grab onto.
There's nothing
To grab onto.
Why would that not be called light?
Yeah.
No, it's called oyer, but this oyer is choshech. It is oyer, but from an external perspective, you see nothing.
There's a word called aura. Aura. Is that the aura of a person? You mean? Is that
Yeah,
the same?
let's just say.
Oh, is it aura?
So l'gabe lamato, relative to that which is below, that which is below is dependent on seeing what? On seeing some kind of a tangibility. There's no tangibility to it. Therefore, it's completely concealed. It's a dark. We spoke yesterday about the principle, concept, that if you have a home, and the home has several rooms, and one room is clearly identifiable as the dining room, yet now it is empty. There's nothing there. But having the seichel identification that this is the dining room, it conceptually has a table and chairs. And we said, well, we discussed it a little bit. The conceptually has table and chairs. These table and chairs are known to the oyer hanefesh, to the seichel. They're not known to any lower quality in the person. There is no way that this table and chairs would interfere with a person walking through the room. Even though in seichel it's there. So legabe lamato is total choshech. Although the person in his seichel recognizes its reality. I had my brother-in-law, so I was told this is before my time, before I rejoined the family. He had a very vivid imagination. So when he would walk in the street with his mom, he had a whole bunch of men following him, little people. He's watching him. He'll turn around. So one time he turns around and says, "Watch out! You're stepping on my man. Don't step on my man." Okay, that's bria. And the reason this is choshech is because in bria is still recognizable the oyer hanefesh, or the oyer halaki. That's as we said just now in the motion of the seichel, perceiving that there is a dining room table here. It's there because of the oil hanefesh, the oil haseichel. This is what it's about. But presently, on the lower, on its own level, it doesn't exist. It exists because this house is owned by a human being, not because of the house itself, the physical structure of the house. Thus, in Bria still shines the oil of the key. The Yitzira, then there is a next world, it's called Yitzira. She'ein ha'oir shom begili kol kach, where the oir Elokei, is not so, does not have such a direct impact. הרי זה בבחינת אויר וגיל גם למטה. Therefore, this is in a state of oil and gil. There is an actual formulation, the Gabi Lamato, from a lower viewpoint, that there is something there. Because the oil Elokei is not begili kokach. We can go into this, but suffice it with having discussed Bria. This is mitzad ha'oir. Mitzad ha'kelim hu lahapeh. But from the kelim perspective, you have the exact opposite situation. The Bria hu b'bchinas miyud ha'kelim. The Bria, there is miyud hakelim. There is very minimal amount of kelim, and it's overwhelmed with the oil. B'yitzira horiba hakelim, and yitzira there is an extended amount of kelim. There's less oil, and there's more oil kelim, and there is less kelim and more oil. If you know that, as is known, then it begins